Some APL-based application systems depend on the availability of APL programming tools in the APL64 developer version. This type of APL-based application system is developed and designed to be used by an APL programmer with domain expertise. The QuadAsk, ASKx, ASKL, and ASKN system functions can be used to request input for such an APL-based application. This presentation will describe the features of these system functions and illustrate simple application using them. Some APL-based application systems run in an APL64 developer instance. User input is obtained via ad hoc queries for individual application input fields. These applications are not distributed as Windows executable applications. To request input required for these application systems, the QuadAsk system functions may be more convenient than the legacy quad input and quad input. The available QuadAsk system functions are QuadAsk2 request text input, QuadAskN2 request numeric input, QuadAskL2 request the index of a selected list item, ASKEX2 request text input, execute the input and return the interpreter result. QuadAsk system functions may be incorporated in the user-defined APL64 functions. ASKN system functions are available only within an APL64 developer version instance. A brief description of the syntax of the QuadAsk system function is shown. Continue reading this document to learn about the syntax of each QuadAsk system function. The features of all QuadAsk system function dialogues include: the default value is selected and highlighted. The dialog is modal and has the keyboard focus. The dialog may be closed with the close button or the enter or return key. The dialog is not dependent on Win32 technology. The dialog is available only in an APL64 developer version instance. The optional caption left argument can be a character scalar, character vector, or string scalar. The required prompt left argument can be a character scalar, character vector, or string scalar. The purpose of the QuadAsk system function is to request text input from the APL64 developer version user. The QuadAsk system function will present a modal dialog. The QuadAsk write argument is the default value of the result. The QuadAsk default value may be an empty text object. The QuadAsk result is a character vector containing the user-edited default value. The QuadAsk system function dialog may be closed with the escape key. The purpose of the QuadAskN system function is to obtain the index in origin 0 of the user-selected item in the list. The QuadAskN system function will present a modal dialog. The QuadAskN system function dialog may be closed with the escape key. The purpose of the QuadAskL system function is to obtain the index of the user-selected item in the list presented in the dialog. The QuadAskL system function will present a modal dialog. The QuadAskL write argument is the default value of the result in index origin 0. The quad ASKL result is an integer scalar, which is the index in the list of the user-selected list item in index origin 0. The quad ASKL system function dialog may be closed with the escape key. If the user has not selected an item in the list, the quad ASKL query will be repeated. The purpose of the quad ASKx system function is to request text input from the APL-64 developer version user, evaluate that input and return the interpreter evaluation of the input. The quad ASKx system function will present a modal dialog. The quad ASKx write argument is the default value of the result. The quad ASKx default value may be an empty text object. The quad ASKx result is a character vector containing the user-edited default value. If the user input cannot be evaluated by the interpreter, the quad ASKx query is repeated. The quad ASK dialog presents the default response selected in the text box input control. The default response is selected and highlighted. The quad ASKN dialog presents the text of the default response in the text box input control. The default response is selected and highlighted. When the user closes the quad ASKN dialog, the interpreter checks that the user-entered response is a valid numeric expression. If the response is deemed to represent a valid numeric expression, the interpreter converts the text expression to its numeric value and returns the result. If not, the quad ASKN prompt is repeated. The quad ASKL dialog will present the options list left argument, so that the user may select one item from the list. When the user selects a list item, the quad ASKL result is the index of that selection in the list using index origin 0. The quad ASKx system function can replace the use of quad input in the APL-64 developer version. When the quad ASKx dialog is closed, the interpreter attempts to evaluate the user-entered text. If the interpreter processing is successful, the result of the quad ASKx system function is the interpreter result. If the interpreter processing is not successful, the quad ASKx dialog query is repeated until the user enters a value which can be evaluated by the interpreter. This is the APL-64 user-defined function for this example developer version application. The caption for all the quad ASK system function dialogs is assigned to the variable C. The quad ASKN function queries the numeric value to input to the application system's square root algorithm. After the result of the calculation is presented in the history pane, the quad ASKL system function dialog is used to determine if the user wants additional application calculations. In this example, the user enters the desired input to the application calculation. In this example, the quad ASKL system function dialog presents two list items to determine if the user wants to obtain more calculated values. In this example, the quad ASKL system function dialog presents two list items to determine if the user wants to obtain more calculated values. In this scenario, the user selects the yes item in the list to obtain another calculation from the application. In this example, the ASKN dialog presents a query for a numeric value to which the user enters the desired input to the calculation of this application. In this example, the ASKL system function dialog presents two list items to determine if the user wants to obtain more calculated values. In this example, the user has completed all the desired calculations, so try another? Response to the ASKL system function dialog is to select the no item from the list. For more information and examples of the ASK system functions, refer to the APL-64 developer version using ASKx system functions user documentation in the Help menu. Thank you for viewing this video. If you have questions or comments, please contact support at apl2000.com.